Hello, everybody, and welcome to Three Grown Men Talk About a Kids Movie on a Saturday Night. I am your host, James T. Keegan, and joining me today are two of my good friends, which is quite good for a movie really about friendship. So, firstly, returning after our heated debate about the Uncharted movie is the tremendous Ginger Geordie Geek himself, Peter from Triple G Comics.
Hello! How are you doing?
I'm in shock and awe right now. How are you?
My nipples are freezing. I have to be honest.
Are you shirtless?
Oh yeah. This is all man. Hedgehog, whatever. I'm not sure. We'll have to check with Ben in a bit. I'm not sure if this is racist or not.
Am
I allowed to blue up? I'm not sure.
I wanted to keep this PG for the kids, but I guess I'll throw that out there.
Are you all right?
All good. So how have you been? It's been a couple months anyway since our Uncharted discussions.
Well, you wouldn't invite us back after the last one, would you?
No, you're always welcome here, Peter. Anytime a video game adaptation rolls around.
Yeah.
So just for people who maybe didn't catch that episode, do you want to just let everyone know kind of who you are and what your deal is?
So my name's Triple G Peter Peter. I do comic unboxings, toy unboxings, what if show, boys and the toys, and stupid stuff like this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I just like a bit of fun. So yeah.
Yeah, all right, awesome. And also joining us today, making his James T. Keegan debut straight from the Mushroom Planet, is the Attention Seeking Geek, Ben.
I have been rehatched.
I feel so. It's tremendous, isn't it? I feel so underdressed right now.
Have you
got a brand new stash? Papa's got a brand new stash, baby. Peter, I don't know what I'm witnessing right now.
I think it's a nervous breakdown or a midlife crisis. One of the two. I'm not sure.
What's the headpiece like? What is
I
that?
honestly feel like I've been in the Mushroom Kingdom far too long, and this is now what I'm seeing. I don't know if I'm hallucinating or what.
Well, that's good mushrooms for you.
I'm loving the tash, man. The tash is tremendous.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks. I bought one spare as well, just in case. So
yeah,
let's see where this goes.
Right, let's try and get this thing back on the rails. So Sonic the Hedgehog, as our last episode, Peter, I kind of went over what the history of the Uncharted series. So I thought I'd do a similar thing for this, make this kind of a tradition. So Sonic, very well-known franchise, I think. Probably one of the most well-known characters in all of gaming. Started on the Sega Genesis in 1999. Sonic the Hedgehog spawned numerous mainline games, spin-offs, and everything. What are your guys' kind of? I'd imagine because this is a much older series, you guys are much more familiar with.
How dare you, sir? That felt like that felt like a jibe there.
It was unintentional.
Actually, I have to be honest. Sorry to jump in before you there, Ben. I have to be honest. I didn't realize there was that many Sonic games when you showed that. What I do know is I was there at the very start. So I had when Sonic first came out. I was buying that off the shelf and playing on it. And loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And I don't think I can do this seriously tonight. I don't think I can be on the same screen as him and talk seriously. Yeah.
Can I just draw your attention to the fact that I've even the little circle bit here? That's flesh. That's me.
I would have liked you to run this.
Don't worry.
It'd have been nice if you ran this by me first, Peter. I'll let it slide. So Ben, have you
anything that's sliding better let
So Sonic, Ben, have you played any?
Of course, yes. This is ingrained in my geeky culture as much as kind of Super Mario, I would say. I mean, I'm not really a gamer, so it's great to be here on a gaming channel. But the two kind of, if I ever did pick up a console, the two things that I will always make sure are in my collection is a Mario game and a Sonic game. And I would probably say that Sonic and Knuckles game was
Yeah.
my pinnacle, just because I fell in love with the character Knuckles kind of at that point. So yeah, but it's I don't think it's ever going to go away. Like, if anything, in 20 years' time, there'll be a Sonic game, and you can just see every grain of hair, on his on his back, and I think it's just part of our culture as geeks.
Yeah. So I think the irony here is that I've never actually played a mainline Sonic game. Now, there is one game on the screen that I absolutely adored as a kid. But I'm going to talk about that later because it ties into something towards the end of the movie. So we'll get to that. So
teasing us.
Absolutely. So obviously this is a sequel to a movie I think was much better than it really had any right to be, which is Sonic the Hedgehog in 2020. What are your guys' kind of thoughts on that movie?
I loved it. Just put that image back up again a second. If you does Jim Carrey look quite? I don't know. He doesn't look. It doesn't look quite real on that image to me.
I mean, the posters are very heavily photoshopped, and
I mean, as opposed to something like this.
Yeah,
you're telling me Jim Carrey there doesn't look real.
He looks worse, yeah. So yeah, I went into that movie because my son wanted to see it.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, video game movies don't have a history of being particularly good for
almost exclusively terrible. Yeah,
but I loved it. I thought it was just fun. I mean, I'm anything Jim Carrey, I'm there anyway.
Yeah.
Anything. I've forgotten the actor's name. Plays Cyclops. Is it James Marsden?
James Marsden.
Yeah, I think he's tremendous as well. Love him in. Is it Enchanted or Enchanted Ever After or something?
Enchanted.
The one.
Enchantment. Is it?
Something
No,
like
just
that,
Enchanted. Yeah,
Enchanted. Anyway,
the one that has the song on that goes, "Tell you,
yeah, do you love me? Yeah, do you love me? Yeah, that one. So yeah, I think he's a tremendous actor as well.
Yeah,
and this is going to sound really harsh, and I don't know. We might come into this about this film as well. A lot of the Sonic bits you could have almost taken out for me, and I just loved the human characters, and I loved Jim Carrey, and I just thought he was tremendous.
I would strongly. I'd almost flip that. Myself, on my opinion, and say outside of Sonic and Robotnik, you could scrap the rest, and it would be fun.
Flip that pancake.
Even his assistant, because his assistant's amazing. The guy making the coffees and the lattes and stuff.
What's his name?
Stone.
Yeah.
I wanted to see if Peter knew it.
Sorry.
He's praising this character, and he can't even name.
Yeah. You've never even played a bloody game. Don't come at me.
I played one of them, but and one thing
this man's gone to, right? You can't.
I'm ecstatic. It's taken the pressure off me significantly. So one thing I wanted to kind of just cover a kind of controversy that the first movie had in its pre-release, and I don't know if you guys were aware of this. The original design for Sonic, which was just horrific, and I'm actually really curious now if they had kept this, if they just stuck to their guns, because this is like a rare case of the internet bullied a studio into doing something. Yeah. If they kept that original design, do you think that movie, the first movie, would be as well regarded, and we'd even have the sequel? No.
Nope. I think people would have hijacked it. It would have, I probably would have been put off from even going, because it's such a pivotal kind of thing to get right in this film. Like the first thing you get right is Sonic. Get him to look right, get him to sound right, and get his kind of personality to come across right as well. This is going in my mouth every time.
I think Ben's absolutely right, and I think if one thing we know from comic book movies and things like that, the fan base want to see stuff they recognize, and if you pay off the fan base, they'll just turn against it. And let's be honest, that original image you showed, James, of the Sonic thing kind of yawning or smiling, it's pretty horrific. It's scary.
It has like human teeth and stuff. It's. I remember that trailer came out and it was just like woof. Yeah. Like I can't believe professional people came up with this design.
Just various people would have signed off on that. Would have gone, yep, that's fine.
Yeah, but it's effectively that kind of outcry, I think, saved this this movie and led to a great first movie, and I think an equally good second movie. So before we go kind of more or less scene by scene,
well, hold
why
on.
don't you just...
I love the first film. Thanks for asking.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm the asshole now. I'm so sorry.
No,
I mean, we didn't want to say anything, James, but yeah. You also didn't ask Ben about his channel.
That looked right then. That looked right.
You know what I mean?
You should be dressed as Tails, for God's sake.
Yeah.
No, I the only reason I pipe up is because I do completely agree with you. Like, it had no right to be as classic, I would say. Like, I came out of it feeling like, yeah, this will be a classic for the kids of that generation.
Yeah,
they will grow up and say, you know, like we do with, you know, Jumanji and Toy Story and stuff, like there are classics or whatever. Peter, it's Charlie Chaplin films, but you know, like for us, like those that are classics, gotta go fast. Oh no, he's molting. And yeah, I think it very much felt like that. Like it was silly, and in parts I kind of the humor didn't hit me, but
yeah,
I didn't resent them for that. I kind of was like, yeah, that's because I'm not an 8-year-old. But if I was an 8-year-old, that joke would have landed with me.
exactly.
So, and yeah, I think that was a trend that very much carried on into this film. But
yeah, and considering like how much a lot of adults like it, like imagine if you were a kid, you know how into it you would have been. Definitely.
I think that, you know, that's a really good point, because this film and the last film, there were a lot of kids in the cinema, which normally irritates the hell out of us. But I have to say, they just laughed and giggled all the way through, and that was lovely to sit and listen to. You know? I mean, I shouted at them, "Told me to shut up." You know.
Were you dressed like this when you went?
Yes, I was. Yeah.
And then they let you in.
Did see something in that news report.
Yeah.
Shirtless man. Now,
I probably should have wore pants. That's all I'm saying. You know.
Woof. Okay. So just before we go on to our thoughts on this one, I'll say hello to a few people in the chat. We got Fuzzy Dunlap, regular viewer of kind of all of the stuff we do on each other's channels. Thank you for joining us. We have Luke, a regular, a good friend of ours and regular collaborator, who unfortunately didn't see the movie in time, so couldn't be here.
Luke is my agent, Stone.
Yeah. Joining us. And James from NJ Comics, good friend of ours. Happy to have him here for the moment anyway. I know he said he's seeing it tomorrow with his daughter, so
yeah,
that's nice. That's another thing. Did you Peter, you brought your kids to see it?
Yeah. We always go as a tribe with my parents as well.
Yeah. So that's another thing I kind of really like aspect about this, is like it's a family event, nice. You know? Yeah. So James liked the first one too. So Sonic 2. Ben, I'll let you start. What are your kind of broad, before we go kind of scene for scene, your broad kind of opinion of this movie?
Yeah, I mean, as I alluded to, like very similar to the first one, you know, it felt very, that kind of family feeling really kind of came across. Was it silly? Yes. Was it juvenile in parts? Absolutely. But was it fun? The whole way through. Jim Carrey, like Peter, you know, I'm a massive Jim Carrey fan, so you know he is the key selling point for me of this film, even above the fact that it's a Sonic film. It's Jim Carrey, and I can't imagine anyone else as Robotnik now. Like, and just to kind of see that evolution of the character into this one, everything just kind of it did the perfect job that a sequel should do. You know, everything should feel that next stage. So, you know, the silliness should feel a little bit more silly, and the action should feel a little bit more exciting, and the villain feel a little bit more over the top, and everything did that. Everything elevated to the next level. So yeah, I absolutely loved it. There were some really satisfying kind of fan moments at the end, if you do know the Sonic cartoons or the you know, the more recent games, which we'll come back to, no doubt. But yeah, I just came out really feeling like I got my £10 worth, which I didn't for Morbius.
Okay. And Peter.
Yeah, pretty much everything Ben said. It's for me. I go to the cinema to be entertained, and yes, I like intellectual films and I like murder mysteries and things I've got to work at. But I also really love just being able to sit down and just literally switch my brain off and watch the pretty lights on screen and whatnot. And that's what I get with this. It is a juvenile film. I don't think it's really aimed at people in the late 40s who dress up like this. It's aimed at a younger audience, and that's fine. Jim Carrey for me is tremendous. I think he dialed it up from the first film. I think he could dial it up even more. I was, and like Ben, he's the selling point for me, not necessarily Sonic. I was really quite pleased. I don't know if you're going to touch on it later on, James, but Jim Carrey's made some comments about potentially retiring.
Yes.
And the makers of this have come out and said they would not recast him, and I think that's exactly right. He is this character, and I think he would come back to do another one.
So he said that if he's presented a really good script, he will come back. Now, there is something, I think, a workaround to that, which I'll get into when we talk about the post-credit scene and everything. But we'll get into the. I can't really elaborate much more on what you guys have said. I had a great time watching this. I thought it was great action. Some good jokes. Some jokes didn't land. Some bits are a bit like, it was a bit odd. But I'm sure kids were jumping and dancing and loved it. And it's their arena, I wouldn't get angry in this movie if a kid is talking. Some kids were talking because it's kind of their movie, I'm just along for the ride. Similar to like when I saw Detective Pikachu or something like that, So that's
a good film.
What do you mean? That's not an adult film?
That's a good film. Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like Detective Pikachu, like even more so, I think, than this film tries to appease the adult fans.
Yeah.
And tries to kind of get the humor. Whereas I don't think this even tries, and that's quite refreshing, is that it does go, right, our target audience are kids. And we're not making it for anyone else. We're going to make it for kids. It's a bonus if mummy and daddy have a couple of giggles along the way and enjoy the action. But we're making it for kids. And I don't think that's done much these days.
Yeah.
So it's refreshing.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, speaking of a few giggles, thank you for that great segue there.
Oh.
We opened the movie on just peak Jim Carrey. On left where we 6 months, I think they say, after the first movie he's been there on the mushroom planet, and he's just going crazy. Like he's drinking mushroom tea or something. Mushroom tea.
Trying to get the right combination.
And it was just absolute. I was in stitches.
Love where he has the quill and he's
try it again, because why not? And then he sort of kind of try and devise a plan to escape. So he builds like a mushroom computer or something like that. Is it that sends out a shockwave?
Yeah, it's like it sends something out. I think he uses bits of his old wreckage or whatever, and it sends out a beacon, doesn't it, into the galaxy. Yeah.
So we get a portal opening and some kind of tribe guys come through, and we get, I thought it was bizarre, right? An Evil Dead reference.
I missed that.
You didn't catch that? He says "Klaatu Verata Nikto." It's like one of his lines, and I was like, it took me out of the movie a little bit. I was like,
I honestly, I was like, this feels like a completely different. Like this film feels like a sci-fi epic right now.
Yeah.
The things that come out of the portal, well, the things that come out of the portal aren't like little pork. They're not the porcupines like we saw in the first one or whatever. So it was like echidnas. Sorry, how derogatory of me. So it felt like a sci-fi film or something. Like it was very cool.
I love the relationship with The Rock as well. And he's talking to them.
Oh yeah, that was very funny.
But just so cartoony, the way they were one was flung up in the air, and it was I just felt like I was watching Tom and Jerry or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or like a kind of a exaggerated version of Home Alone or something.
Yeah.
It was very funny. So coming behind the tribesmen through the portal, we get a glimpse of our boy Knuckles, and him and he acknowledges that he's looking for the Master Emerald, and specifically Sonic. He does say Sonic or the blue guy or something. And that's when Jim Carrey gets that twinkle in his eye. Well, I'll help you find him. So you get that little team up. So I'll talk a bit more about Knuckles later when we get a proper look at him. But on to Sonic, we have Blue Justice to the rescue.
Yes.
In I thought a great action sequence. Like he sees the robbers in the van, police chasing him. He's kind of barreling over things into the car, and then talking to the I assume the guard that's tied up in the back, and he's like, "What are you doing, man?" But like the impression they're giving is that like, oh, he's harming, but like I think it was worth it. Like he did cause a bit of damage, but like did he not do more good?
Yeah, like I kind of like felt like the guard was being quite ungrateful.
Yeah.
Like dude, you could have just had your head blown off with a
exactly.
shotgun.
Yeah. And oh wow, he burst a few pipes.
Yeah.
Oh, terrible.
You know what? This felt very, Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
The
opening sequence. Yeah. I got that. Yeah.
It reminded me of that. But it's got to be said as well. Ben Schwartz has really embodied the voice of Sonic.
100%. Yeah.
Again, like with Jim Carrey and not seeing anyone else with Robotnik, I can't see anyone else as Sonic now.
Yeah.
Definitely. He does a good gig.
Yeah. So he goes on a little fishing trip when he gets back. Gets a little stern talking to from James Marsden's Tom, I believe.
Yes.
Now we get a line like he does say like "You're not my dad" kind of thing that we get in this. I feel like we got this in another movie just recently as well, like almost that exact same line.
It's a pretty standard trope, isn't it?
But like I mean like in the last month, like something we reviewed together like not too long ago. Do you know?
Uncharted?
No, not Uncharted. No, yeah. But
does it make anyone else uncomfortable? The whole dad thing,
because he's a little blue alien who's potentially older than him.
Especially at the end, spoiler warning. It's like, oh, dad. Like, oh, don't say it.
It is a bit.
It's weird.
Kind of, it's more brotherly, I guess, or something. But
I just took it as a very touching, emotional human moment. So obviously, you guys didn't connect.
But this thing about it's for the kids.
Like that.
It's for the kids, so they connect with that relationship, the fatherly relationship. So that's why
he's on it. Hawkeye, you probably right, was he?
Yeah, it wasn't Hawkeye. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something I can hear it like "You're not my dad" thing, and I'm like, we just heard this in something else. But hopefully,
did you say it to a big blue alien?
Yeah, I mean, you said it to us earlier, but you're not the boss of me. That's what you said.
Resemblance is uncanny.
Yeah. So So Tom goes away with his with Maddie, I think his wife, to a wedding, and that's a whole thing I'll get to. But so I'll stick on. She's been a very sideline. Like I feel like she had a much bigger role in the first one. I couldn't even find a screenshot of her to use on this.
Yeah, she's that standard like poorly written female character that is unfortunately a common occurrence within Hollywood films, is that they're just kind of there, which is obviously wrong and needs to be better. But I did just objectify her before I said all that, to be fair, so probably a bit of a hypocrite. But
it's Sonic After Dark right now. So so he's home alone, he's skating around the place, he's eating popcorn, he's feeding the dog, having just a rollicking good time.
It's so silly. And
then Robotnik Robotnik shows up, and like just I know we've already talked about every scene Jim Carrey's in this. I just can't help but smile, Like,
I honestly, right, like to oppose what you said earlier about what Peter said, earlier about the humans, and I would have watched this film completely in a CG world with CG characters, but just Jim Carrey. Like I want,
100%.
I want a Space Jam. But instead of, Michael, it's Jim Carrey's Robotnik and Sonic characters. That's what I want for Sonic 3 for an now.
I think potentially we're going to see the human characters. Like I think James Marsden will get basically a cameo in the next one based on how much they reduced his role in this.
Yeah.
He's expensive as well. Like, he's an expensive actor. Like,
do you think so?
Yeah.
Because he's not like an A-list. Like, he's
James,
he's
if you're
high
watching,
B-list.
how much?
So Robotnik shows up. We get almost like a 20-second horror scene as well, where there's like a noise and he's like this.
Yeah.
Which I thought would be a bit intense for the youngins. But Robotnik returns and Knuckles shows up to kick some ass.
Yeah.
So this scene again, just not. I wouldn't even call this a fight. This was just a whooping, and it really, I thought, considering how powerful Sonic is portrayed in the first movie, really kind of makes you go, ooh. And this was a really good portrayal of like a villain's strength.
Yeah.
What was your kind of thoughts on Idris Elba's Knuckles in this movie?
Look, I mean, I firstly, that scene, the impact of that moment, was completely taken away by it being in the trailer. Like, it's. Imagine seeing that fresh at the cinema. That really would have kind of taken your breath away, and it ultimately didn't, because we'd already seen it. So that was a shame. I love Knuckles. Like, Knuckles was always my favorite character, and like Rocket Raccoon before they cast Bradley Cooper, I always pictured him as, his voice in my head was like a Cockney, like listen, Sonic, like, and. Idris's voice choice for this, like, initially, it took some warming to,
Yeah.
And I think by the end of the film, and the kind of journey that his character goes through, and they kind of define his character as this like Drax, like, sense of humor or whatever.
Yeah.
By the end of the film, I'd warmed to him, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is our version of Knuckles, and I quite like it. Like, I absolutely loved the look of, like, the design was incredible and stuff, but. Yeah, it did take some warming to. Like, it just didn't. I don't know. It was just weird. It was like a weird pseudo accent that he did as well, because we know that Idris can do, British as he is, and and American, and it was like I don't know.
I don't even know if it's like an accent. It's more just like a cadence of speaking.
I did read something saying that he'd been toying with accents I have to be honest. I didn't even realize. I hadn't looked at much of the press before this movie. So I hadn't realized who it was, and it took us ages. I was sitting, do you know when you know the voice, but you can't put your finger quite on it?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, is that Vin Diesel or someone like that? Is he doing kind of a weird accent? Yeah. And it wasn't until a while into it that I thought, actually, that's Idris. But yeah, I loved the scene. I agree, it was spoilt by the trailers. It was a good action scene. I think it was a good, like you said, James, Sonic didn't stand a chance kind of thing. But yeah, I think it had been let down a little bit by was already seeing quite a bit of it, unfortunately.
Yeah. And that's another thing, that I have so many shots from this movie, like I can go basically scene for scene because it's all in the trailers. Yeah. Like there's one element towards the end I don't have, and that's like the only thing they really kept out.
Yeah.
But so Sonic gets a whooping, and we get Tails to the rescue. Now, this is interesting that Tails is voiced by Colleen O'Shaughnessy, who is the actress who plays Tails in the game. Now, on a side note, it's just one actor to
it makes sense because it just felt so right. Like, it just felt so right. I had no complaints.
Yeah, they didn't really feel the need to replace. But I went my entire life thinking that Tails was a girl. And I was so confused in this when I think that I caught a reference to he, and I was like, what? And then later on, I was like, did I hear? And then I think I whispered out to my mate, he's like, is Tails a guy?
It's funny you say that, because I think you'd said that or something in our group chat. I don't think I've played any games with Tails in it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But in the cinema,
you haven't held on to him as he.
I don't think so. Not that I can remember. I probably have, but I'm very old and I've forgotten. But in the cinema, there was definitely a few kids behind me said exactly the same, James. Like,
really?
Yeah, Tails is a boy.
Because it's like, it is kind of a feminine design, and you would think out of like these three characters, there'd be a girl on the team.
I've always liked Tails, though, because I've always seen him as quite non-gender. Like I don't think because I think he's got that effeminate kind of voice, and he's not like an aggressive boy character as most boys are in everything.
Yeah.
Like I always kind of didn't see him as a boy or a girl growing up. Like I know that sounds weird, like sounds very modern of me, doesn't it? But yeah, like I just never kind of. But yeah, she did a great job. Like he was just so endearing, like from start to finish. Like you just loved him, and there, I mean, we'll come to it, but there was a moment later on, and it broke my heart. It was beautiful.
Yeah, and the way that, like I said in my open, the theme of this is sort of like friendship and family. And earlier on in the movie, it's James Marsden says, like, oh, it's sad that Sonic doesn't have like this. Sonic doesn't have someone else like him. And just seeing their kind of relationship, like it's weird that it gets me, like, you know, in a way, like the emotions of it, it's like just sweet, like and endearing, and it's
so clever how they revisited the shot that we already saw in the post credits. Yeah, and they kind of intertwined it into the story. So
yeah,
we essentially got like a big flash forward in the first film now.
Exactly.
Which, but it done really well.
Yeah. So so Tails rescues. We have this kind of sequence with the car and everything. They escape. We get revealed Tails can fly, and she kind of gives a bit of a exposition now. She explains that Knuckles is an Echidna. And we get this kind of little flashback, and I thought it was like a really surprisingly heavy backstory for this movie, like that they're like a warring tribes that like are legit killing each other and everything.
It's always the case in these like family films, though. Like they are family films, but then like people are like legit dying. You just don't see it, but they're still dying. Pretty brutal stuff.
And the way he's like trained from birth just to kill like Sonic's tribe people, it's just like, oh, that's heavy.
So is that the storyline from the games? Is that?
I believe I know that
was a bad guy originally.
Okay.
Yeah,
of course, yeah.
I think it more or less is the same story. Like I know he's referred to as an Echidna in the games anyway. But we also get kind of told about the MacGuffin of the movie, which is the Master Emerald, which you just know, like Jim Carrey's stealing this thing. I was surprised, like later at the power of it. Like it was kind of interesting, like, visually.
Yeah.
So Robotnik goes back to his trusty barista Stone, working at the Mean Brew, is it, or the Mean Bean?
Mean Brew.
The Mean Bean. Yeah.
I'll have my steamed goat's milk latte.
Yeah, and just the way, like some parts of the first movie I kind of forgot, but this guy I remembered, like just how funny.
I just love the dynamic. Like he's just so horrendous to him, and Stone's just so loyal and fabulous. And
we also get this kind of recurring joke in the movie about Knuckles handshaking people. He just crushes their hands. I just thought was a good one. So Knuckles and Tails are on the hunt for a compass to lead to the Master Emerald, and it takes them to Serbia. And we get, like, I was almost in awe at how like kind of already dated this sequence was. We get like a dance sequence to Uptown Funk.
Yeah,
and it's about 6 or 7 minutes long as well. Like it's.
Have to say this was probably the bit for me that just didn't. I don't know. I didn't feel it.
Yeah.
No. It was a bit for me that it was one of those bits where I'm like, just think like an 8-year-old. Just think like an 8-year-old. Just think like an 8-year-old. The problem is, I think you have a choice, right? When you're doing a scene like this, which is like a comedy musical scene, you don't go modern. You go all the way back, so that no one can say that that's dated because you've purposely gone so far back. You know, have them dance to Bloody Wake Me Up Before You Go Go or something like, you know. It just felt, it was like when Jim Carrey flosses at one point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh god, I forgot about that.
It's just like, but then if you'd done a dance move from the 60s or something, it kind of would have, I don't know.
Pulp Fiction or
like,
something.
Like I feel like you have a choice to If you're going to do a reference, go further back, because it otherwise just comes across like a older person trying to be cool. It's like someone's parent going, "Oh, I listened to that Uptown song the other day. It was very good. What number is that in the charts right now?" Yeah,
I just didn't. I mean, I've seen films with dance offs and things like that, you know, and I think, what's
American Pie?
That? Yeah, American Pie, and then there's the one with all the he's got to fight all the ex-boyfriends.
Scott Pilgrim.
Scott Pilgrim. I think there's a dance off in that, which is this. Just even the dance off itself just didn't feel very good.
It's not very impressive.
Yeah.
Or fun. Yeah, like the American Pie dance off. That's like one of my favorite dance offs.
And what I'm probably thinking of, James, is the I recently watched The King's Man in the fight with Rasputin.
Yes.
Which is kind of a, you know, he's dancing.
Yeah, it's a dance fight. Oh, absolutely.
You know, this just felt, I don't know, it just didn't
underwhelming. Like, and yeah, this again, I know it's not for us, it's for the kids, and the kids love Uptown Funk and flossing and everything. But it's just like, even
that's the thing. I don't think they do anymore.
Yeah,
well, that's Uptown Funk. I think is from 2014 or something. Like, that's an 8-year-old song. You know, so like it was just an odd.
It fell flat. It was a joke that fell flat ultimately for us anyway. But you know, I mean, next time we'll have to have a 3-year-old on and see if they found it funny.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good song, but like, yeah, it's just a.
Baby Tom, what do you think? Like, oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so that was a bit bizarre. But also, like, if you just think like logistically, like it's presented like they're in danger when Sonic, like, literally can move so fast that time stands still. And
this was representative for me as to one of the issues of the film, which is people. Like, every time people were involved with the jokes and stuff like that, Jim Carrey aside, it just fell flat. Like, I almost envisaged that scene, like how much more kind of interesting that would have been if it was echidnas, a bar of echidnas. Warrior echidnas stuff, you know. I don't know.
And it just
humans, please.
Yeah, and it just is a very cliched thing. Like, you walk into a bar and it's all like guys like stabbing knives on tables and everything. It's just it's a bit done, you know. Yeah. So I think the worst thing in the movie, but for me anyway.
Sure.
Have you gotten to the
worst thing?
Despite what I said at the start, I didn't like the whole fake wedding, that human stuff. I just didn't get it. I didn't like that.
I have a whole thing on the
finding the magic weapons, and, you know,
they had a whole thing on it as well, apparently.
Yeah. We'll get.
Could have done without
an hour.
So anyway, so they track the compass down. They find it. And then Eggman attacks.
Can we just appreciate that visually? I mean, that looks like a bit of beautiful concept art or something. That's gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely. Straight out of the movie. And even when it opens, it like there's a statue that opens up, and from a visual standpoint, it's stunning. Yeah. So Eggman attacks. And and we get this, I think, really cool action sequence, kind of sliding down the slopes in the avalanche. It's just good fun. There was a joke I liked in it. He calls him the Winter Soldier, just had that little chuckle about. That was fun. And
there's quite a few pop culture kind of jokes thrown in there, because there was the Winter Soldier and there was a few others that were kind of thrown in that I thought,
yeah, Winter Soldier and the Evil Dead one. That's what I remember.
My favorite joke or line was Robotnik when he goes, "Welcome to the new norm." Like, levitates up. Superb stuff.
But yeah, we kind of sense that like Sonic is coming more up to Knuckles' level. Like, he's more prepared now. It feels a bit more like an even kind of confrontation.
They couldn't resist that, couldn't they? They couldn't resist putting in another Quicksilver scene with the music and him slow-moing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still cool to look at, but it's never going to be theirs. Like, I'm always like, that's not yours.
Yeah, I do really like that bit in the first one, but I literally forgot that was in in this until
It's only a
interesting,
brief
isn't it?
moment. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it is interesting. Just going slightly off topic for Sonic for a little bit. That I think you're right, Ben. For me, the premier speedster is always going to be the Flash. And by the time we get to the Flash movie, I don't know if this is going to feel a little bit old if they're doing that freeze kind of stuff. Because, like you say, we've seen it so many times in Quicksilver. We've seen it now in Sonic
for the
twice.
Flash.
You what?
Ain't nobody caring for the Flash.
Not the movie, no.
Michael Keaton, though? You like
that's the only selling point for me. But
yeah.
I think X-Men First Class literally killed any other speedster's chance of being, as memorable, because it's just so goddamn good. Like Evan Peters' personality is Quicksilver, and the way it's written, and then that famous shot. Like, I just don't see how you can get better than that. So at least with this one, it kind of, without any shame, just replicates it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't try to be. And I think like Makari, they purposely didn't do any of that, did they? They just had her fast, which is fine as well. But yeah, what can Flash do that's different now? I guess, does he like ride lightning or something? Like,
no.
straddle lightning?
Well, there's we're onto a different subject now, but Jerry, like he going this to become cool Speed Force.
Well, I laughed me boobs jiggle.
I noticed.
It's very distracting, Peter. I'm trying to host the show here.
I've literally got blue shit all over me desk, me microphone,
Go really
gloves.
fast as well because you're Sonic, so they go.
You'll have to slow that down.
Jesus. In the after show, I'm gonna like remove myself, and I want you to face each other, and I'll take a screenshot.
That's the thumbnail.
That's the thumbnail. Yeah. God. So so the back to the movie. The cause and avalanche. So yeah, as you said, there is like a weird thing in this that there's like another movie within this movie that's like a rom-com. So you have this whole wedding thing, and I just every time we went to it, I was just kind of like, I don't really care.
Totally.
It just felt like an interlude. Like, go and get your drinks. Because we're going to do this now for half an hour. Like, but it was a long time. Like, I get what they were kind of trying to do, but it was a long time, quite intricate by the end of it. I mean, she is fantastic. Like,
Rachel,
we said about the humor not landing because it's childish and stuff. I think in terms of adult sense of humor, like her performance and her lines and the way she delivers them and stuff, for me was some of the funniest bits of the film.
Well, like I think on its own, you could build a good movie out of like that, like this guy whose wife's sister hates him, is at the wedding and this kind of thing. But it's just out of place here.
I thought she was irritating as shit.
Peter, we're always united on our thoughts.
And I don't know whether it's just because like you say, I didn't want to see that bit.
Yeah.
Or what? But I didn't find her funny in the slightest. I thought
she tickles me.
And also, I know we're talking a kids' movie and it's far, but what a load of crap that they would set up a fake wedding, and they were actually going through with it.
Jumping ahead,
it was just
surprise thing.
It's very convoluted, wasn't it? And like, unnecessarily. But again, like, it's like if you just took her for me and surrounded her with animated, hilarious. Like, what a film that would. Yeah, just mate, sign me up. Just her.
Yeah, the
and
kind of Bridezilla
Tails having to, go somewhere. Brilliant.
Yeah, she is. I briefly remember her in the first movie. Peter? Did you have a problem with her in the first one?
See, I really liked her in the first one because I believed what she was playing. She was playing the kind of the irritated, didn't like the boyfriend, totally out of her comfort zone with this blue thing and all the rest of it. This just, I don't know, it just didn't land for us.
Okay, right.
Yeah, it is.
I'm a grumpy Sonic.
It was just not, and you have this kind of God. So there's this joke is kind of set up earlier, and I just saw
his face when he sees Peter.
Pure sexual tension, isn't it?
Oh, look at the guy behind him on the right. That's another reaction to Peter on his shoulder.
Oh my god. What are we doing? Um, train of thought just gone. Yeah, so
Sorry.
early on in the movie, they set up this joke about like the rings that he has the ring and he like does the ear thing, and just saw that coming like a million miles away.
Yeah.
That because he had the portal ring from Sonic, like it's like, oh, obviously this is gonna screw up the wedding. So just like, yeah, telegraph too much. But yeah, of course he does. Is that in the trailer? Well, this bit's in the trailer, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. So yeah, spoiler.
Stop it, Hollywood. Stop showing us everything.
It's not as egregious as Sony, though, is it?
No,
Sony are quite bad.
I mean, they are the worst people.
Yeah. From a channel that was going to be called the Sony Pony. Yeah.
Is that what channel was going to be called? The Sony
that was one of my original names I had for the Sony Pony because I'm a PlayStation.
I don't know what's worse, that or James T. Keegan.
Thanks.
Oh, pretty rough.
Yeah. I could come up with names for anyone else, just my own one. I'm like, yeah. I thought you'd like it, Peter. It's a Star Trek reference.
Sony Pony.
The James T. Keegan.
Oh,
Sony Pony. Sony Pony is just it's an expression for people who love.
I just
Keep up, Blue Man Group.
Okay, back to the movie. So
Peter's
Tom,
in the corner there playing drums.
Oh, everything moves there. This feels quite liberating, I have to be honest. I'm going to do all future streams naked.
we are live, guys. I remind you.
You're not coming on my channel dressed like that.
Each of them could be one of your heads, Ben. I'll just draw a little mouth underneath.
So
sorry, James. You
James.
soldier on. James.
She's trying to be so professional.
So Tom throws. So Sonic calls Tom, and the ring. He throws the ring. The ring's a portal. The wedding's ruined. Oh no, terrible! And then, as Peter said, it's revealed that all the wedding guests, everybody's from this organization called Gun, which is sort of the Ben. Is this a thing in the games now? I couldn't find. Whether it is,
that was my first thought as well, and I couldn't remember.
I don't know. Anything. Yeah, so it seems to be like this movie's version of Shield.
Let us know in the comments if you're watching on the rewind or watching live.
Please.
Like, is Gun a thing in the games?
And while you're doing that, hit the like button. The what?
Have the games come to Earth? I thought it.
Yeah, they have. Surely.
Not sure.
I'm pretty sure.
It's like gaming Earth, isn't it? Where there's like 10,000 rings just lying about. It's not real.
Yeah. So anyway, Rachel's not too happy. She's all bridezilla. And we get this kind of so the Gun people take Sonic and Tom and Tails. And her and Maddie take some like of Tails' gadgets. We get this, I think was a fun little sequence where they're going around kind of attacking people with the gadgets. Like there's a boomerang that's like auto targets people and stuff like that. I thought that was quite fun.
Do you know what would have been funner? Tails doing it.
Yeah.
Not just two women. Like random humans. Like, yeah.
It felt to me, God, I feel grumpy because I do like this film. It felt to me like this was a shit. We've spent too much on the special effects budget. What can we cut out?
Got to fill half an hour.
Yeah, let's chuck some humans running around because they're cheaper. That's kind of what it felt like.
Yeah, I can get that. But also, I think part of it is like to give them something to do. You know, because otherwise Maddie's effectively not in the movie at all, and Rachel needs some, I don't know, redemption for going all bridezilla. But anyway,
which come the third one, I'm fine with that. Don't put them in it. Don't put anyone in it other than Robotnik. Like I don't need that. No one bought their ticket to go and see Tom's adventure, like at a wedding.
Yeah.
No
one. So anyway, Fuzzy to the rescue. He says that Gun is part of the game. So that's thank you for
nice.
telling us. It's always nice to have you there.
Fountain of knowledge, that man.
Yeah.
Should be here, dressed as Knuckles, ready to go.
Perhaps he does look like Knuckles. We've never seen the man. He's an enigma.
It's been a sunny day. If he sat out there too long, just red all over. But wore gloves.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
So, Robotnik and Knuckles use the compass, and they find this temple underwater.
This was my favorite bit.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful imagery. I think.
Yeah,
it's stellar. And we got the gotta go fast moment, and Sonic tries to run across the water, and the waves are too kind of heavy for him, but he ends up washing up on the kind of edge of it anyway. We get one of my favorite moments in the movie is Knuckles and Robotnik like running through, like because Knuckles is just in too much of a hurry. Robotnik's like,
this is what I'm saying.
That
whole sequence was just brilliant, and this for me is what I really wanted, is just Jim Carrey surrounded by CGI, and the relationship between the two of them, and it felt like a real tribute to the games as well. The way that it was like plotted out, and they were kind of avoiding all the things. I was like,
exactly,
Sonic.
Yeah, and then you have of course Sonic making it through with not bother on him.
I mean, just the sound when you hear that sound when he gets into the ball, which doesn't happen often, but when he does, I'm just like, awesome.
Great moment. So anyway, they all make it to the Master Emerald, and we get our final Knuckles versus Sonic fight. Again, just absolute blast, really entertaining. This is one of my favorite moments where he's just dodging every one of Knuckles' things for like 20 seconds straight. Great moment. And of course, Robotnik, being the sneaky bastard that he is, steals the Master Emerald. There was a moment in this where kind of Knuckles realized that he's been had, and he says, "I thought you were my friend." And like the way that just got me like so much. Like again, another moment of like, like I felt so bad for him.
They played that out really nicely. It wasn't like a sudden thing. There was just like a couple of hints, like that Knuckles was true of heart, and that Robotnik was being a Robotnik, and
earlier in the movie, he's surprised that Sonic saves Tails instead of going for the compass, things like that. So like they're planting the seeds there, But it's just a moment. It was like I was like, because even though he's so gruff and hard, like he still thought like they were friends, and like feels like betrayed. And I just thought that was just a really
proper human moment, really, wasn't it? It was like you said at the start, James. The movie's all about relationships and friendship and things like that. So I thought it was,
and that's what they did with Sonic in the first film, is they gave him those human moments, because Sonic is on the fringe of being the most irritating little that we've ever witnessed, but he has those odd little moments of sincerity, and I think the writers do that really well with this. I mean, Tails, on the other hand, is bloody adorable the whole way through, and I just want to put him in my pocket. That scene by the fire, when he like curls up and he looks like a dog, like a little dog, and he like curls up, and you're just like, I just want to stroke him, and then he puts his tails over Sonic and hugs.
Slightly concerned.
Just so cute. You have no bloody ground to stand on tonight. Look at yourself.
Just like that. So anyway, oh god, let's try to just get this over with. All right, Robotnik steals the Master Emerald, and the Master Emerald just sort of turns him into a god.
Yeah,
and this was just hilarious how he's tweaked his performance here. That he's just like, like floating, and
got a bit of a dubstep undertone to his voice as well. Like Daft Punk, like.
And there's just so many good like visual gags with it. I thought like just how it's floating and stuff. So
I just love the way that they tweaked the design as well. Kind of, made it give it, this but neon and black. I just love that. Love
cool,
that.
The costume design's tremendous, isn't it?
Yeah. So he's building something. He's pulling together bits of scrap and everything. And Tails, Sonic, and Knuckles coming to the rescue. And I was curious now, is it like I obviously the look of it is familiar, that looks like Eggman from the games. But I was curious, was that this like an actual thing from the game? And it is. It's called the Death Egg Robot.
Amazing. The
death
plane
egg
was in the game as well.
is that moment in the game?
I remember that plane very specifically as well.
Yeah. But yeah, so the death egg robot. So funny backstory, like in the games, Robotnik has a thing called the death egg, which is like the Death Star, but it's like his face. And this is just like a
man after my own heart. He's literally my spirit animal.
So yeah, just like when I saw this built, I was just like, oh, I love this. This is great.
It's so Power Rangers.
Yeah,
and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
But even the bits with him kind of controlling it and things like that were just superb. He's acting, it was just phenomenal. I loved it.
Yeah, and he's
flowing
around. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So Knuckles and Tails, Sonic distracts the Death Egg robot and gets injured in the process, but Knuckles and Tails are able to get the Master Emerald. I forgot that name for a second there. The Master Emerald away from them.
That green thing.
Yes, that green thing. I was going to say gem. So there's this kind of very tense moment here where Sonic is kind of trying to shuffle over to it, and Robotnik's, he gets it, but Robotnik's foot's about to come down. And of course, to give Tom and Maddie something to do in the movie, they rescue him. So they swoop in, grab him, and they're about to get killed, and the emerald is broken, but the chaos gems, I think they're called.
Infinity stones, yeah.
They're basically infinity stones, yeah.
I'll do it myself.
Get absorbed into Sonic, and we get a thing that is in the games, Super Sonic.
Yeah, baby.
This was just an amazing scene, I thought. Like the way the hand comes up and he just stops, like he doesn't even flinch, just stops it, like, and then
goes full Dragon Ball Z, Goku.
Yeah, absolutely, like incredible, and just such a yes moment. Like I loved it.
And you know what? A finale, because quite often in these action films and superhero films and stuff, like you kind of seeing that finale earlier in the film, and what actually happens at the end of the film doesn't feel. But this really does a great job at like building up to an actual finale,
escalation,
a finale where stuff happens and there's payoff, and
yeah, definitely.
Were you surprised he potentially killed Robotnik?
I was just about to say he like flat out murders him, like thinks he murders him. He could have shot down, saved him. He didn't. He just
a movie about friendship, love, kindness, and murdering people. Yeah.
He's done.
You don't know how many of his brothers and sisters have been ran over by cars.
That's very true.
That's
very true.
It's time for vengeance.
You can't say he doesn't deserve it though. It was an odd choice though. Like I know they wanted to have a Robotnik escapes potentially thing in it, but it was strange.
It was strange because again, I know you're going to do the end scenes later on and whatnot, but I don't know. I was in the cinema waiting for that hand coming out the rubble or something like that to show that Robotnik had survived, but you didn't really get that. I don't think, did you?
No, but I think the first movie sort of had that, didn't it? So like, there's not really much. They'd rather leave it open ended, and
I think that comes down to the contract that he's working one film a contract. So they don't want to count their chickens and say, yes, we've got, Kerry for the third one. So they've kind of closed the door if they need to, but you can also just very easily, because this film's ridiculous, bring him back. Because he obviously was saying about retiring and stuff. But one thing he was saying about is that he really rallied to be fat in this film.
Did he?
He wanted a fat suit and he wanted to be fat. And I know there was that blink and you miss moment where Stone's looking at different costumes for him.
Yes.
And one of them is like a fat version or whatever. But I reckon one way they could bring Kerry back is they could say, right, we'll give you a full fat suit and you go full Eggman.
That would be a nice evolution, because the first movie is kind of normal, and then the second movie is the hair and the mustache, and then the third movie is just proper. Yeah.
And then full on mental Kerry. Yeah. He's just bonkers.
Yeah, and it's his final, if he wants to quit acting then I honestly feel like I could die happy because
Yeah.
his contribution to things is just amazing. And yeah, this is his film as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So anyway, Robotnik is murdered potentially, and then they all play baseball, and everybody's having a rollicking good time. And that's the end of the main
rollicking good time.
No charges suppressed.
No charges suppressed. We get, but it's not over yet.
This whole baseball scene was one of the real turning points for me in Idris Elba's performance as Knuckles as well.
Yeah.
Like I felt, like I kind of was like, yeah, I get it now. I get what you were doing, and I like it. I like it. It's fun. Like, and it was that Drax like thing, but I just don't think that came across in the first couple of scenes.
Okay.
It just slowly revealed itself, and then you kind of got that, because ultimately, if you didn't, I think even with Drax, it wasn't maybe till the second Guardians, and where they started to play with the humor of him taking everything literally, sort of thing.
Yeah. That's something you want to see evolved in the next one anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
So so post-credit scene. We got a post-credit scene. Now during the animation bit, I leaned over to my mate and I said, man, I really hope it's Shadow. Because the only game in the Sonic series that I played, and I absolutely loved this as a kid, was Shadow the Hedgehog. And we get this postcard scene. It's at the rubble of the Death Egg robot. We see the Stones alive. The gun agents say that they can't find Robotnik's body, but they uncover coordinates to an old 1960s experiment called Project Shadow. And we see in a sort of a Winter Soldier-esque tank or table, we see Shadow. So I am so stoked to see this now. I absolutely cannot wait.
Who would you get to voice Shadow? Would you have Ben Schwartz do the voice of Shadow as well?
No, so Shadow, Peter, are you familiar with this character?
I'm not. No, I don't think I've seen Shadow in anything.
No, so Shadow's sort of like a
clone. Is he just a clone?
Yeah, but he's kind of a gruff, like a darker kind of hero. I've seen people say Christian Bale is one that people want. I don't think he's going to do this.
Christian Bale's not.
Adam Driver.
That would be tremendous.
I think maybe Adam Driver might be the type to just have a go at that for fun. But I think Chris Evans could do a really good job.
I don't know whether fun's a word I would ever use to describe Adam Driver, either, to be honest.
Well, I've never seen
two of the most serious actors.
Have you ever seen him on SNL? Like, that's the sort of, he can be
okay.
So how does that work then? Because if he's a clone of Sonic, but it's from the 50s.
He's a clone of the I can't remember specifically how in the game it is. All I know is that, and this is what I was saying about the kind of workaround to Jim Carrey. He's created by Robotnik's grandfather. So what you could do is have another Robotnik played by another actor to serve as the kind of villain in that's, and get like another like really great kind of character actor for that. I know, but like that's the thing, you can still have a Robotnik and not recast like it's a new character.
Unless it's me they're casting, then no.
So would I be required to get a black wig and black body paint for that?
I would say don't risk that.
Yeah.
Don't risk that.
I'll hold on. Yeah.
Also, don't ever do this ever again, Peter. Please. For the love of my eyes, please don't. It's exciting, and I think this is quite a modern game character, isn't it? And it's not necessarily like the original, Sega Mega Drive character. He's more of a
he debuted in 2002, I think, Sonic Adventure 2, and then 2006 was his game Shadow the Hedgehog. And like you're shooting like AK-47s and stuff, it's like let's make Sonic dark, a dark Sonic kind of thing. So
Sonic just murdered someone. He's dark enough.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, like I think like Chris Evans, like the way you mentioned, funny enough, you mentioned Scott Pilgrim. I think his character in Scott Pilgrim, that kind of voice he does in that could suit this really well. So that's probably who I'd pick. But it'll be interesting to see. It will be a name, I'm sure. So yeah, we will see.
We shall.
So that is like I said, go on.
No. No,
So you're about to
keep getting your hair in my mouth.
Okay, so that was Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Does anybody have any more kind of last thoughts or anything before we wrap up?
Just a fun flick.
Yeah. Balls to the wall, fun. I really would like them to go all in on the third one. I want like the pink rabbit girl or whatever, I forget her name. Like I want all the extended characters. I would, and ultimately I don't want it to be on Earth as well, but unfortunately by the sounds of it and by the looks of it from the post credits, we're just going to have Shadow running rampant on Earth. But still, what a fun trilogy this is shaping up to be. Yeah. Couldn't
have said it better myself, and can't really elaborate that much on it because, to be honest, don't have like particularly deep thoughts about this. And I was worried about doing a show on it, but we got an hour out of it, so I'm happy.
Here we are, just like this.
Yeah. So there you go.
Eyebrow entertainment at its finest, I think.
Yeah. So before we go, guys, what do you have coming up on your channel, Peter? If you want to go
just got a call, Peter from the BBC. They want us to do their reviews.
I thought, funny news nights just texting.
Right.
They want us to do political kind of, said
mad.
Actually, I look a bit like a stunned blue Boris, don't I? Cake.
There you go.
Ambush.
Just derailed. Peter, videos.
Have you got some images to show you?
Yes, I do. I have 3 that you sent me. What have you got? One coming
up. Get them up, lad.
It'd be helpful to see them. So, there we are. This Sunday, I'm reviewing a Supernaturals toy, which is a very old action figure with a hologram chest. So we'll be talking about that one.
Yeah. Then, of course,
we've got What If coming up on the 26th of April, so not long now for that one. That's going to be tremendous, I think. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and that features also myself, Ben, and Luke from Hydra Collectibles, as well as...
And we've got Boys in the Toys with a bit of a focus on Playmates. We're going to have a bit of a rejig of that, I think, and try and change the format slightly. So that'll just be about talking all things toys, vintage figures, 1/6 scale, and anything we've been picking up, plus some news about figures and things like that.
Hell yeah.
And I would strongly recommend, guys, if you enjoyed this, to come over to Peter's channel and watch them, because they're always a good time. So, Benjamin.
Yes. Can I just say, Fuzzy Dunlop recommending Paul Giamatti for Shadow all day long. Yes,
good choice.
Take my money.
I'd like that. Yeah.
So this is my most recent figure review. It's the 1/6 scale Sideshow Collectibles C3PO. So if you want to see me play with my gold thing for 20 minutes or so, then that is on the internet. And this week, James and Peter came onto my channel, as they always do, on a Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. BST to review Moon Knight. So that was episode 3, and of course we'll be looking at episode 4 next week.
Yeah, so that's that. So guys, I would strongly recommend heading over to those channels if you like me and see what they do, because sometimes I'm there. So on my side, so anybody watching this, I've been kind of sparsely putting stuff out over the last couple months, and I'll be honest, like this life just sometimes gets in the way.
Like that's not
Jurassic
Park.
Jurassic
Park. Yeah. Life just can't be out.
It gets in the way. So listen, I was working on a spoiler review for Horizon 2, but the game's been out 2 months, so I don't know if I'm going to get to that, but I will
not spoiler anymore.
Stuff made. I will have stuff come out soon. Okay, I'm working, and I have ideas that will happen. I'm not just saying it; it's gonna happen. All right. Hey, I have a video right now, don't I? So there you go. Yeah. Okay. So
what a video it's going to be.
Didn't go the way I was expecting, but I'm all for it. You know,
Nothing ever does.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a bizarre review of Sonic 2. Thank you so much for watching. I am your host, James T. Keegan. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. So I think we'll end this with a gotta go fast.
Ooh, me boobs are jiggling.